One of the most arrogant things you will ever do is to stand in the way of your heart's deepest desires. I'm inviting you to let that sink in for a second and to see how that is sitting within you. And I would love to explore that with you right now. If you're new to this space, my name is Xavier Dagba, and the whole purpose of this space is to spark conversations that ignite self-liberation. So you may be asking yourself, did this guy just call me arrogant? Yes, I did. We all are. And it's just part of our human nature. Now you may ask yourself, how is it making me arrogant to step in the way of my heart's deepest desires? And before I answer that question, I would love to offer you a backstory. A few days ago, I was talking to a friend of mine, a friend that I trust with giving me the truth, telling it like it is. And she did just that. I think it's really necessary in a support system to have people that are not just going to tell you what you want to hear, but that will tell you the truth, the way they see it. And in my opinion, from these places we grow, from these places we expand. So I was sharing with her something that I've been feeling called to create, to share, to write about, to put out there. And I was in my small story of the parts of me that felt burdened about all of that. And also the part of me that felt like it was going to bring me to levels of elevations that I didn't know that I was able to sustain yet. So there was just a whole lot of resistance. And she's seen my evolution. She's seen me grow. She's seen me expand. And she has known, at the very least, this is her perspective, kind of known me to be kind of ready for more, if I'm going to put it this way. And maybe you have a few people like that in your life. People that know that you have more within you. People that would love to see that more being activated. So I was in my story and telling her all the reasons why I felt that it was a little bit too much. I was being present with the responsibilities, the consequences that come up with it. And here I was telling her how, I'm a dad of three and I have this responsibility at home and my business and all the effort that is taking from me and all of that, just full of stories. I was full-fledged into my stories. And she listened to me. And one thing that she said, it was like, I hear everything that bringing up right now. Everything that you bring up is a whole bunch of valid stuff. And I was in this hierarchy mindset that I had cultivated. It's like, what if I get to that level and I allow myself to be there? And then what? Part of me was like, I want to trust that I will remain a student and open to learn. And I don't want to get full of myself. And I was really using this rational. I don't want to get too full of myself as a reason why I am actually not going to do what I wanted to do. And what came up through that is we sometimes get so scared about our own mastery. We get so scared about our capacity to lean into our own mastery. We rationalize all the ways we shouldn't get there. And I was doing just that, attempting to rationalize, talk myself out of it. And what she said was, your attempt trying to keep yourself humble is actually a whole lot of arrogance. And that took me by surprise. And part of me knew there is truth to it, but it still took me by surprise. Like in my conscious awareness, here am I attempting to keep myself quote unquote small. And that is actually one of the the highest form of arrogance. And you may ask yourself how. I would love to give you this perspective. Imagine that you are feeling this impulse, whatever it is for you, a calling, a desire to create something meaningful in your life, and you can feel it. You can hardly ignore it. It tortures you. You literally have the heavens chasing you with that. And you keep receiving evidence after evidence after evidence that this is what you get to bring to the world. And yet you won't allow it. Something else that is happening there, it is you standing in the face of God and saying, I am not letting you through. It is you standing in the way of the universe and saying, I'm going to block you. I have the power to stand in your way. And I have the power to stand in your way, to stand in the way of all of creation, to the degree that this is not going to happen through me right now. So it's almost as if you are putting your higher self in a prison of some sort, or your soul in a prison of some sort. And when I sat with that, I started laughing like terribly. And I started laughing hysterically. And she didn't get why I was laughing for a hot second. And then I shared with her the vision that I had in mind, which was, I just see in my mind's eye that I have my higher self in a corner of my psyche. And I put handcuffs on my higher self, and my higher self is there laughing at me. And then I am saying, you're not going anywhere. You're not moving forward. And you know what? It is actually true. There's quite a bit of arrogance there because as the human that we are, it's like we fool ourselves into thinking that we can actually get in the way of the universe itself, of life itself. And in that, there is arrogance and there is truth because this is also how powerful you are. You are so powerful that you can inhibit the divine force inside of you. Is that true? Yes, I believe it's true. You are so powerful that you can get in the way of life itself in your life. You can stand and say, not through me. You can do that. And when you put yourself in that perspective, you actually realize that surrender is one of the highest forms of humility. And when you are in a place where you are willing to hold both energies, like stepping into the awareness of, oh, this is how powerful I actually am. I can stand in the way of life. I can resist life. There's a little bit of arrogance in there. I'm going to resist God itself. The divinity inside of me, I'm going to resist that. This is what we often do. And we think we are here keeping ourselves small, where in the shadow of that, there's a great deal of arrogance. In the small story that I was saying, in order to justify not going after what is right inside of me that wants to come through, what I had to realize is wow, I'm actually being very arrogant. And through that awareness, there is an invitation to humble myself and to realize that as I allow myself to really tune into whatever level of mastery wants to be birthed through me, I am actually tapping into true humility. A level of humility that is not attempting to keep me small, because in my opinion, humility, true humility, does not keep you small. It can acknowledge the full extent of your humanness without disowning your light. And at that level of humility, grounded humility, open-hearted humility, you actually unlock your heart and the capacity to create more gracefully becomes available. And that's what I wanted to share with you. And if you're resonating with any of this, I have two invitations for you. The first invitation is to get my free shadow work mini course, my free shadow integration mini course. It will allow you to dissolve these hidden forces that we often hold within that keep our light to shine brighter. And the other invitation is to join me for the Embodied Light Project. It is our new community that we just started. a place where we get to step into more of our mastery, a step where we explore, embody our golden shadow, the light that we often repress in the dark, a place where we integrate the hidden forces that are keeping us from becoming light bearers, vision bearers. And in my opinion, the earth needs more of that at this time. People that are willing to raise their hand and say, yes, I'm going to carry my light as high as I can possibly carry it without disowning every bit of my humanness. I want to thank you for being here, and I'll see you in our next video.